Welcome to the Hashimoto's Doctor podcast. You're now part of a growing community of people determined to take their health back through education and self-empowerment. But because of the healthcare system today, we don't have access to the types of healthcare that we want. So we have to do things differently. We've got to do things smarter, and we do that by becoming our own advocates. This podcast will give you the perspective and thoughts of one of the world's leading Hashimoto's doctors. So let's get started. Hey guys, Dr. Shook here. I hope you're doing well today. In today's podcast, what I want to talk to you guys about is a fascinating side of the immune system in the body that you may not be aware of. And I want to share this with you because being aware of these things that we're going to discuss can really give you the ability to, when done properly, dampen inflammatory processes and can be really powerful tools to dampening autoimmunity, including the autoimmunity that's found with Hashimoto's. So one of the things that you may be acutely aware of is that inflammation can have a profound impact on how you feel. And if you've ever experienced brain fog or fatigue, then just know that that's very likely rooted in inflammation. And you can relate to that if you've ever been sick or had a respiratory infection or had the flu, and you know that you can't think straight, you're tired, you just want to lay down, you just want to close your eyes. A lot of that loss of mental focus and ability during an infection like that or a cold is due to increased inflammatory levels and how that disrupts your overall neurological signaling and function and focus. So one of the things that I really want you guys to understand is that there are ways that your chemicals and gases that the body uses and produces during an inflammatory response. And what can happen is that the body can actually, we know that in the brain in particular, inflammatory processes can be self-perpetuating. The inflammation can cause cellular damage and inflammation that promotes more inflammation and more cellular damage and inflammation. And it's this self-perpetuating cycle. We know that this happens in the brain. We know that from the study of concussion and brain injuries that this is not necessarily a bad process for a short period of time because it helps to clear cellular debris and damage, but that beyond a few days, it's probably a good idea that we try to and we assist the body in quenching that inflammatory process. So what we can do is we can utilize a lot of different strategies. But one of the things we really need to talk about is how and what these inflammatory chemicals and gases are. So the immune system triggers inflammation by basically releasing an immune system chemical messenger. You may have heard me talk about these before. They're called cytokines. And what it does is it triggers this inflammation by releasing an inflammatory chemical messenger called interleukin 17. Okay? So what it does is it triggers other cells in the body to basically damage the body's tissue. And that could be, in this instance, that could be your thyroid gland. It could be, if you have rheumatoid arthritis, the joints of your body. And, with Hashimoto's, that is the thyroid. It signals, interleukin 17 signals other tissues that damage and destroy the thyroid. Now, you may think that, it's a bad thing, but, inflammation is a normal process, guys. You need some degree of inflammation to keep the body healthy. You don't want to decrease and suppress all of your inflammation. Inflammation's not, by itself is not a bad thing, but you need to have it in the appropriate amount, and it does not need to be persistent when there's no real need for it. So there are things that we can do, but I just want to clarify that make sure that you don't get caught up in this idea that all inflammation is bad, because it does serve a purpose, okay? So one of the things that interleukin 17 will do, it activates this gas in the body. Yeah, it's a gas. It's called inducible nitric oxide. Now, this is a really interesting thing because what it does is it activates several different processes through the body. There are various forms of nitric oxide. Okay, there are actually some very, very healthy and good forms. One is endothelial nitric oxide. Another one is called neuronal, as in neuron or nerve cell, neuronal nitric oxide. But interleukin 17, what it does is it really triggers this really inflammatory form called inducible nitric oxide that damages body tissues. So when it comes to understanding or trying to decrease this inflammatory process, what we want to do is we want to focus on dampening and decreasing this interleukin-17 activity and the decreasing the inducible nitric oxide activity. So this is something that you're going to come across. If you get on Google and you start Googling these things or looking it up and researching it, you're going to find that people say you can just take arginine. Now, you may have heard about arginine before. It's an amino acid. You can find arginine in all kinds of, one of the areas where it's really popular is in the bodybuilding circles, because arginine increases blood flow. And it can aid in your workout recovery and in your performance during a workout. But arginine is not what you want to do here. Arginine, one of the things that it does is it will boost your nitric oxide systems. But remember, I said there are three forms, right? There's inducible nitric oxide, there's endothelial, and then there's neuronal nitric oxide. Arginine will boost all three of those. It will boost the inducible nitric oxide, which is not the form that we want to be increased. Remember, we do want to improve and encourage the good forms, the endothelial nitric oxide and the neuronal, because the neuronal nitric oxide protects your nerve cells. Endothelial nitric oxide improves blood flow and does so many beneficial things for your body. Dissolves plaques in the blood, dilates your blood vessels, and is really helpful in tissue repair. So that's a fantastic form, but the inducible form we want to dampen. So what you can do is, instead of using something like arginine, which is going to boost all of them and be very, potentially be problematic for you, is you can utilize various nutritional compounds. You can use things like adenosine. You can use huperzine A, which has also been shown to improve tau and tau protein accumulation or plaques in the brain. You can use vinpocetine, alpha GPC. You can use L-acetylcarnitine. There's a lot of different compounds that we know downregulate inducible nitric oxide synthase and upregulate the other forms, the endothelial form and the neuronal form, which are beneficial, which is what you want. Those are the things that you want. So those are reasonable things to consider and try to improve the health of your tissues and your neurological health. Because remember, I said the neuronal nitric oxide synthase is protective and beneficial to the nervous system, which is really, really important and really helpful. Now, other things that you might want to consider to help you battle inflammation, especially with autoimmunity or Hashimoto's, is things like vitamin D3. Obviously, taking vitamin D helps with the regulation of the immune system. Consider taking omega-3 fatty acids in high enough quantities. When I'm working with people that have high levels of inflammation, I really shoot for 1,200 milligrams of EPA, which is a very anti-inflammatory form of fatty acids. Glutathione is a very beneficial compound that helps with dampening inflammation. It does has a lot of different functions. It's the master antioxidant of the body, and you can even use things like turmeric and resveratrol in emulsified forms that are in high doses to help dampen interleukin-17 activity. Those can be very, very helpful at bringing down and decreasing inflammatory issues. So, the various diets can be beneficial, like the autoimmune paleo diet might be something to consider. Those are all things that you can do, but I really wanted to share this with you guys because I find that this was, when I first learned this information, I thought it was fascinating. And just the fact that we can have this impact on these inflammatory processes that are really profound in autoimmunity and with Hashimoto's, using nutritional compounds. And it's just fascinating and interesting what we can learn and what we can do. And I wanted to share that with you guys today so that you would be more empowered and better be able to help yourself. But anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. I hope this has helped you to have a better understanding of your health and take your health back and be your own advocate. But I really appreciate you guys. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. If you guys need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And just remember, we appreciate all of your support and your sharing our podcast and reviewing it. We appreciate positive and honest feedback because we're always trying to do better. So talk to you guys again soon. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed hanging out behind the scenes with Dr. Shook. You can also talk with and learn from Dr. Shook through Facebook Live on our Facebook page at the Office of Dr. Brad Shook. Don't forget, you can also get access to our videos, guidebooks, and thyroid programs at www.drbradshook.com. Oh yeah, and don't forget one more thing. We can change the world one person, one family, and one community at a time. Until next time, remember, today is your day, and no one will tell you who you are and what you can be.